what's going on at Final X Lincoln. This will be another exciting thing. This one is happening on June 15th. And of course, Rutgers is happening the 8th. This Final X Lincoln is happening on June 15th. And we have another 5 USA men's freestyle senior team that is going to be wrestling here. 5 weights out of the 10 possible weights. 5 are wrestling here, 5 are wrestling at Rutgers. And as I said, you know, this is only for men's freestyle, so if you're interested in learning more about the other weights, make sure you check that out in the description below. But this is going to be very exciting because we have some really highly anticipated matches, including this first matchup. And the first matchup at 57 kilograms is Thomas Gilman versus Daton Fix. Now, these are 2 guys that like to scrap, especially looking at Thomas Gilman. And Thomas Gilman's a guy who people love to hate and they love to love, especially if you're an Iowa fan. And, you know, although I consider myself I'm a Penn State wrestling fan. However, I just like to see great wrestling, and that's why I love watching, you know, Thomas Gilman win, and I like to see what he does on and off the mat. But right now, these 2 wrestling at Final X, 57 kilograms, and Gilman, they actually wrestled last year at Final X, and Fix and Gilman. And Gilman actually won both those matches. He won by a score of 6-3 and 2-1. And what's really exciting about Lincoln, Nebraska, this Final X event, is that there are a few rematches that we get to see from last year, which I think is really exciting, including this one. So then what happened is at the U.S. Open this year, Fix ended up beating Gilman. He got his revenge on Gilman. He beat him 8-4, and he wrestled really, really well. You know, I think at college level, Fix was a little bit non-aggressive, especially if you're looking at the national finals, which, you know, some guys tend to wrestle a little bit differently in the national finals, especially if they get a lead, they want to hold that off. But I think in that match, and Gilman versus Fix, the U.S. Open, Fix was just firing off, taking shots. Same with Gilman. Fix just ultimately ended up with the victory, but Gilman took the long route now, ended up winning the World Team Trials, and these 2 will wrestle in finals. Who do I have winning? Well, I have Thomas Gilman winning. I think Thomas Gilman has beat Fix in the past. He's able to beat him. I don't think this will be an easy victory by any means. And Fix will, I think, still win one of those matches, because if you guys do or do not know, this is a best 2 out of 3 challenge series. So, you know, you could see Gilman winning the first one, Fix the second one, and I think Gilman's going to win that third one. Just my prediction. And moving on to 61 kilos, you have Joey Cologne versus Tyler Graff. This is pretty exciting to me because, you know, Tyler Graff kind of, I don't want to say he came out of nowhere, but, you know, this is a guy I wouldn't necessarily expect to be wrestling for a world team spot, but he's wrestled really, really well, and he deserves that spot. So Graff hit a strong world team trials tournament, and I think, you know, obviously that's what put him here, but he actually lost in the quarters of the U.S. Open this year, which, you know, he goes from losing in the quarters to then, you know, winning the World Team Trials, which is, you know, pretty exciting for him. But these 2, Cologne and Graff, have actually wrestled a few times in the past. First of all, they wrestled in college. They wrestled in the national semifinals back in like 2014, and Graff actually won that. And then these 2 wrestled actually at the Dave Schultz in 2017, whenever Graff teched Cologne. So I actually, in this particular match, I'm giving the victory to Tyler Graff, making his first world team, and that's who I have at 61 kilograms. But let's move on to 70 kilograms when we have Ryan Deakin wrestling James Green. So this is, you know, Green, you may remember, wrestled Astronaut he wrestled him at the World Team Trials. They also wrestled at Beat the Streets, but Astronaut ended up getting hurt at World Team Trials, but really that's not the story here. The story here is about Green versus Deakin. So Deakin and Green wrestled at the U.S. Open. So this is, again, another rematch, which is pretty exciting. We get to see that whenever Green lost by a score of 8-6. Now, what's going to happen this time? Well, Deakin, you know, here's the funny thing, guys. The funny thing, you know, if you're a wrestling fan, which I know all you watching are huge wrestling fans, you have to look at what happens in college and what happens at the world level is a little bit differently. Ryan Deakin placed 6th at his national bracket this year. He lost that bracket to Jason Nolf, who ended up winning at 157 pounds. Now, Jason Nolf's not even in the Final X qualification right now because he lost at the World Team Trials, but Deakin now has a great chance to win it, and I actually think he is going to win it. So I have Deakin winning at 70 kilograms. Moving on to 74 kilograms. Big match, which I think is exciting. You have Jordan Burroughs versus IMAR. Now, IMAR beat, just like we were talking a little bit about Jason Nolf. Nolf bumped up to 74 kilos, and IMAR beat him at World Team Trials. But Burroughs versus IMAR. Now, these two have wrestled before. They actually wrestled last year at Final X, and what happened? Well, Burroughs won. Obviously, Burroughs is the Burroughs won bronze last year at World Team Trials, or World Team Trials at Worlds. He won bronze, and I think that Burroughs will ultimately make the team again and beat IMAR because of just his dominance and how he beat IMAR. Now, Isaiah Martinez, I keep calling him IMAR. That's his nickname. If you guys do or do not know that, but last year, Burroughs beat him first 4-1, and then he teched him 11-1. So that's why I got to give Burroughs a spot here at this weight. And at 97 kilograms, we have Kyle Snyder versus Kyven Gadson. Now, these two wrestled last year. This is, again, another rematch. I mean, are you excited to see these rematches? Please let me know. As always, in the comments, are you excited to see these rematches, or would you rather see new guys wrestling? I don't know. I'm pretty hyped for it. But Kyle Snyder over Gadson, they wrestled last year. Snyder, like I said, over Gadson, won 9-0 and then 10-2. Those were the scores at last year's Final X. Now, I have to give that victory to Kyle Snyder again, and Kyle Snyder is going to make the World Team